Yeah, welcome to another episode of Arts Place Conservative Talk from a different view. We've got a great show today. This is Arts Place Live number 76. Lloyd and I, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. We're going to talk about the recent town halls that the two candidates for president had. We'll talk about polling, who's accurate, who's not. And then we'll talk about Macbookgate, which I like to call Macbookgate because that is the computer that Hunter Biden left at a computer repair shop and abandoned it. And it had a lot of incriminating evidence on it, and then we'll talk about that. So without further ado, let's bring up my co-host all the way from Muskogee, Oklahoma, Lloyd Mendenhall.
Hey guys, how you doing? How you doing, Art?
I'm doing pretty good. How's the weather in old
Actually,
Oklahoma?
it turned off chilly today because I was just looking at the temperature. Says it's 72, but it certainly doesn't feel it. It's cloudy and overcast, and temperature's supposed to keep dropping today. So,
Right.
I don't think my temperature is right because when I checked it earlier, it was like 65, and I don't think it's risen 7 degrees in an hour. So, but yeah, it's a little damp out. I think it's going to be raining on and off. So, just typical fall Oklahoma weather.
Well, here in the Denver metro area, we started off in the mid 30s with a lot of fog, which is good because we've had a heck of a time.
Hang on just a second.
All righty, go get those dogs. All right, I'll bump him out. Anyway, here in Colorado, we've been dealing with wildfires up in the mountains and just north of Rocky Mountain State Park, National Park, actually. They've had a huge wildfire up there. Last I looked, they were, it had been up to 187,000 acres burned. And that is a new state record, sadly. The old record was, I think, 150 something thousand acres, and that was with the Grizzly Peak fire north of Grand Junction, which now is the second largest fire. So we've broken two records this year on two separate wildfires. So, man, we're probably pretty close to 400,000 acres burned this summer if you combine all the other fires that we have had. We had another fire that was just north of, right around Glenwood Springs that shut down I-70 due to the fires there. So it's been a heck of a summer here in Colorado. It's been dry, and we haven't had any snow in the Denver metro area in about a month. Although a few days ago we did get some snow up in the mountains, which will help out. I want to say hello to Rick Halbert and Brad Pear. Welcome to the show, guys. And so it looks like my cohort or co-host Lloyd Mendenhall must have beat his dogs to where they calmed down. Let's welcome back Lloyd Mendenhall.
Hey, Art. Yeah, it was FedEx dropping something off, and it was something Judy. It was for Judy, so I had to take it into her, and that's why they were barking, because they rang my doorbell.
Oh, okay. Then
I have a ring doorbell, and it says somebody's at the front door. So, yeah.
All right. Well, Michael Wright is here, and Mitch, old guy in the drone, is here. Oh, cool.
Oh, yeah. All right. Welcome, everyone. Rick Halber. Is Rick still in the hospital, or are you out now?
Yeah, how are you doing, Rick? Are you on the mend? Are you doing better?
Yeah, he sent me a message, and I was going to call him, and I keep forgetting to do it because my sleep cycle has been so screwed up lately. I don't know whether it's daytime or nighttime most of the time anymore. So, uh, hang on a second. That one little rotten old guy. She'll be 12 years old next month, and she's she'll stand right inside the doggy door and stick her head out and bark at the neighbors. And so it's in the house that you're hearing it, like get your fluffy little
Well,
butt outside and go bark at them,
yeah, yeah. That's when you need to, put a latch on that doggy door to keep them inside, or just
Oh, she'd
is your
stand at the back door and bark at the glass. That'd make it worse.
oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
Yeah. It's just everything belongs to her from here down to the next 6 blocks back because we're on a cross street. So our backyard faces all the alley or all the backyards of every neighbor going down the next block and a half. So she barks at anything that moves down there. And but at least the other dogs, they go outside to bark, but
I know how you feel. My folks had little dogs, and every time the doorbell rang, they would just go nuts. And what would drive me nuts is if something outside made a noise in the middle of the night, the dogs would start barking.
I think she can hear a mosquito fart from a mile away.
Yep, that's right.
She's going to bark at it. Oh, Mason Keyser is here.
Yep.
So, anyways, where were you at before?
Oh, we were talking about the forest fires here. We've got a new record. The Cameron Peak fire, last I looked, was 187,000 acres. New record. So we've broken the record twice this year.
Wow. It's hard to believe. Well, it has to. Forest fires are inevitable. They have to happen, but they could be managed better by,
they could be. But they're not, because we got enviros that are
the environmentalists don't
do clear cut.
Yeah, the environmentalists don't understand that's fuel for the fire when they leave those, instead of letting them go in and thin some of that out and cutting that underbrush out and doing, and it's just like with hunting, you got to go in and basically hunting is the culling of the herds, and
thin out the weakest so that the strongest genetic animals will propagate and expand the herd. Environmentalists, they don't care. They really don't. They think they're saving the animals by not clear cutting. Yet these forest fires, imagine how many thousands of deer, elk, and moose, mountain lions, bears were killed by these fires.
Yeah. They just don't understand, and that's the problem. They don't teach proper. They teach junk science now. They teach, all these junk theories about, global warming. And, okay, so maybe there is some global warming, but,
but it's not man-made. It's a naturally
it's a natural phenomena. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's why I said that's the junk science side of it. They don't teach, if they taught history, I mean, all the science class I took over the years, we studied everything from archaeology to you studied a little bit of everything in your science class, geology, and you learned all this stuff. Same with your, you had to take civics, you had to take world history, you had to take, all of these, you had history, civics, all these classes that are no longer taught, and you don't have all the science classes now. All they do is teach kids, how to play games on computers,
we had physical geography, which was very interesting. Although I wanted to study the physical geography of the cheerleaders.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was
And they said, "All right,
makes
we don't
sense.
have that class." And,
Yeah, that's so disappointing.
so, getting back to politics,
Yeah,
let's see.
right.
Let's start off with the polls. We've had all these polls going around saying that Biden's going to win by a landslide. He's way ahead, and those are the same people that polled that Hillary Clinton was way ahead. And the problem with that is, well, there's been a couple things. Number one, I think conservative voters are lying to a lot of these pollsters.
Oh
They're
yeah,
lying to. I think there's a phenomenon called shy Trump voters,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I think that's a real thing. And I think they're oversampling Democrat uh, registered voters, or
Right,
they're
right.
going after likely voters, and
Yeah,
is it likely? Yeah. So
yeah.
they're
Likely voters.
oversampling one group over another
Yeah,
because conservatives. What do? A lot of us don't like answering these
yeah,
polls,
yeah.
especially these phone calls. I hate them.
Oh, I
I
do
hate
too. I do too.
and I just ignore them. Um, so I think naturally that gets skewed one way. However, there have been two polls that have been very accurate, and one of them is called Trafalgar, and
Right.
they show Donald Trump leading in the Rust Belt, which are
Okay.
those are states that are normally blue states,
Blue states. Yeah.
that go for Democrats, but they're pointing towards Donald Trump, just like last time. Wisconsin, he's leading in Wisconsin. He's leading in Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Those are the key states
Key
that
states.
he
Yeah.
needs to win the election. Then there's another poll, and this guy he's gotten it right since 2006.
Right.
That's when he started doing this poll. And in 2006 he predicted Obama beating Clinton in the primary. Then he predicted Obama over McCain, and he predicted Obama over Romney, and then this last election, and he has Trump winning by a bigger margin. I think the last I saw was well, you know what? I'll have to pull it up. Yeah, he has Trump at 330 electoral votes to Biden's 180. I think
Yeah.
80.
Yeah. Well, I did see something. Oh God, I can't remember where it was at. It popped up yesterday, but it was one of the leading. I think it was actually on Biden's own campaign. What some of his campaign people started saying, these polls are over. These numbers are overinflated,
Right.
and we can't trust these polls to be right. That
That's
say we're winning. He said they're just overinflated, and this was from somebody in the Biden campaign. That had said this. I cannot remember who it was, or
right.
I'm sure I saw it. Oh, it popped up something on Fox News or someplace like that.
Right.
But yeah, it was. I can't remember where it was now, but yeah, they know the numbers are overinflated, and that's what they're concerned about.
Yeah, and that's why you
Uh,
see Biden campaigning in Pennsylvania, Ohio,
right?
well, all the Rust Belt states.
Yeah,
And
because he needs those. Because
I am going to share. my screen here.
Okay.
Okay, so here's the map. Trump at 3:30 and Biden at 2:08. The last I saw was updated, and he was up over 330, and Biden was down to closer to 200. So, I mean, look at Colorado. Now, the new map they show is Colorado is leaning Democrat.
Okay.
So, even Trump might be able to take Colorado this time, which would put him close to 340. If he could carry a couple other states like Maryland, maybe he'll pick up Maryland. I think they show Virginia as leaning Democrat. So this could be a huge election for Trump.
Well, yeah, and I honestly think that's what they've done. They've just overestimated. That's what they did the last time, and it's like you say. I don't think Republicans are real big on telling their this is what I'm voting for, because that gives it gives them, if they show that they're winning by this huge amount, that Trump's winning by a huge amount, it's going to give the Democrats more incentive to push harder and harder. And
Right.
I had to here the last couple of days we've been watching some different shows. We actually watched regular television yesterday. Well, we watched HGTV, and I'm sitting there listening to of course, everything on there. Every commercial was pretty much either get out and vote, and it was obviously from the Democrats, or they were Biden commercials if they weren't advertising for,
Right.
home paint or home design or something like that. Some, Wayfair or whatever group they supports HGTV. But I listened to it. That's the first time I'd heard one of Biden's commercials, and I'm going, he talked about he won't lie to you about health care. He always wears a mask. And I'm going, I don't think so. I've seen a lot of videos with him out without his mask,
Yep.
and, so it was, I'm sitting there going, well, I guess if you didn't pay attention, didn't know the truth, I guess these would be persuasive commercials, but they didn't say anything. There's absolutely no substance in anything they said.
Yeah, that's right. Where you listen to the Trump ads, and there's a lot of substance to it.
Yeah. With Biden, he says, one of the things that caught me, he said he's consistent. He's always consistent. Well,
yeah, he's consistently bad. He consistently has done nothing.
Well, I mean,
almost 50 years of public service, and he's done nothing that's of substance other than the crime bill that put a lot more minorities in prison for simple drug possession. I mean, really?
Yeah. And that was and you go back and you look at his record on race relations and stuff. And if he's consistent, well, then he's not the guy that the minorities would want in office anyways.
Right.
And I mean, it's a pretty slick commercial. It's just nice and pretty and polished, but it doesn't matter how much you polish a turd, it's still a turd.
Yep. Oh, plus Biden's the one that gave the eulogy, and a former KKK member.
Yeah.
Robert Byrd.
And of course, Hillary, that was her mentor. She said,
Yep.
It's yeah.
And you never hear them denouncing white supremacy.
Yeah, quantum vortex energy.
Quantum vortex energy.
I like what he said there.
You could vote
your way into socialism, but you have to shoot your way out of it. And
That's
absolutely,
true.
yeah,
That's true.
yeah.
Hmm.
And we got Rodney Bell's in here.
Yep. Oh, Rodney Bell. Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. All right. Oh, also, I've been seeing a lot of ads because I'm on YouTube a lot.
right.
That's basically my entertainment. And I've been
Yeah,
seeing these ads for a state senator in my district.
right,
And she had one of the sleaziest ads on where she was comparing herself to her opponent, Lynn Gerber, who's the Republican. And she says,
right.
well, I was doing this in the Senate here in Colorado. Lynn Gerber was on the on Facebook telling everybody that COVID-19 was fake. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I'm one of Lynn's friends, and I've never once seen anything about COVID-19 from Lynn.
Yeah, they're just doing
They're
stuff
getting
because uh,
well, and one of the things that's different this time around is Rachel Zenzinger. That's the Democrat. That's the incumbent.
right.
She doesn't have a libertarian to help her out this time around because
Ah,
it's a competitive district that
yeah,
sort of leans Republican, but she has a libertarian that will run and siphon off enough Republican votes to give her a victory. And that's how she was
yeah,
able to defeat the incumbent Laura Woods the last
right.
cycle.
Yeah,
Uh-huh. And
yeah.
this is a,
It's
yeah.
oh, go ahead, go ahead.
Well, this was a weird race because I don't know if you remember, I think it was around 2013 that the Democrats, when they controlled both houses, they rammed through a bill that limited how many rounds you could have in a magazine. Well, there was a company here in Colorado called Magpul that made pistol magazines and rifle magazines. Well, they they couldn't make their products here in Colorado legally, so they moved shop and they moved out of state.
Right,
So they ran that company out. Well, one of the we had a recall movement, and there were three state senators that were targeted, and one of them was Evie Hudak, which was state senator in this district. Well,
okay,
because two of the state senators did get recalled,
right,
replaced with Republicans, Evie Hudak didn't wait. She decided to resign, and that's when Rachel Zenzinger came in. Uh, she served, I think, the last year and a half, 2 years of her cycle. And she was defeated by Laura Woods, who served the full 4 years. And Rachel ran against her, and she had a libertarian run who knocked Laura Woods out of the race. And that's how we got Rachel
yeah.
Zenzinger.
That's the problem with the libertarians is there, and it's I know libertarians, and some of them are they're conservative libertarians, but you got the it's just uh they tend to always siphon off the conservative vote, rather
Mhm.
than the liberal vote. But and I wished that our party's not our government setup isn't the best. We're basically a two party with a few
Yeah.
uh
Smaller
it's
parties. Yeah.
yeah, smaller parties. I was actually looking, I think there was like 30 different people running different parties, or 27 different people running on the Oklahoma ballot for
Wow.
president. And but yeah,
Well,
it's like,
here in Colorado, I think it was 21 different candidates. Um, of a lot of them were unaffiliated, and some were libertarian. And then there were the Unitarian Party, United Party, the Green Party,
right, yeah,
American Constitution Party, the Social Workers Party, the Communist Workers. I mean, on and
yeah,
on and on.
yeah.
Yep.
I've been watching some of the chat. It's been interesting. And who was it who
Quantum
said,
Vortex.
yeah. Okay. Mason says if Biden wins, they would take away the Second Amendment, and you have guns or to shoot your way out. Well,
Mhm.
funny thing was about that, and I replied to him, says in Oklahoma, there won't be any police officers that'll come collect guns. I talked to a retiring police chief, not my son. He was a completely different. He's also a veteran. He said he loved it being in this part of Oklahoma. He says because he's talked to all the different police chiefs around, at least in eastern Oklahoma, and pretty well western Oklahoma too. He said none of them will send their officers out to take away guns, even if they pass an anti-gun law. He says they don't support it. He says, and if they decide to defund us, who's going to defend us then?
Yeah,
You know,
that's true.
that's their point. And he said, and that's why I answered it. I said, in Oklahoma, there's not any police chiefs that will, at this, or county sheriffs or any of that are willing to go take guns away from people. You know, one is putting their officers at risk because, you know, it comes to that. That's, you know, and the other thing is everybody says they'll take away our Second Amendment rights. Well, they can't change the Second Amendment, you know, without 2/3 the vote of all the states in the United States.
Right.
So they'll have to make a new amendment, and then they'll have to, you know, and it'll be like the Equal Rights Amendment or the Women's Rights Amendment that they tried to pass back in the
Right.
80s, early 80s,
Yeah,
no,
that
70s,
one.
into the
Yeah, it
70s.
was called ERA, Equal Rights.
ERA, yeah, Equal
And
Rights Amendment.
the problem with that is that was already answered in the Civil Rights Act.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's why it failed. And
Yeah, and they couldn't get enough states to ratify it. That was the other,
well,
you know.
here's how they're going to go around the Second Amendment. What they'll do is they'll tax the hell out of ammo
Right,
to
yeah.
a high enough to where people couldn't afford to buy ammo, and it'll force a lot of companies to go out of business because, well, there aren't enough people to buy their product and they can't sell it. And the other thing, what they'll do is they will open the floodgates on litigation to where they can make it easy for people to sue gun manufacturers, which some of these states are trying to do. They're trying to to where you. The problem with that is that, all right, if you want to do that, then you could go and sue car manufacturers. You could sue. I mean, that would just open it up to so many lawsuits. Like
You
you
could
could
sue
go after
McDonald's.
people who make knives,
You could
baseball
sue
bats.
McDonald's
Yeah.
because they make French fries that are fattening. That leads to heart attacks, and that leads to death and strokes and all that, and leads to death. Yeah, yeah. So,
Elk City. Oh,
yeah, I just saw that he lived in Elk City and OKC. Of course, Rodney is from Oklahoma as well. His mother still lives here. He grew up in Tulsa. As a matter of fact, I think one of his cousins and Judy went to school. They were either in the same graduating class or close one way, one side or the other. So,
yep.
But
one of my old neighbors, he's from Antlers, Oklahoma.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why I was saying, they're here in Oklahoma, of course, we have a constitutional carry state now too.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And that made a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
But they still, it's like with me, I still have my concealed carry. But yeah, I want to go back to something, one of the other,
Okay, go ahead.
quantum vortex energy. He says they need to put Sleepy Joe in a nursing home, decorate his room over the Oval
Yeah,
Office, and tell him he
yeah, I
won.
saw that. I
That's
flashed it
hilarious.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's absolutely hilarious. But yeah, I got a little off track with the gun thing, but I wanted to
right.
bring that up because this was about 3 weeks ago. I talked to this guy. He's a he's a disabled veteran like myself, and we are both up there. And I was visiting with another veteran friend that he has he they have a shop there where vendors can come in, for sell hats and shirts and whatever. And
Right.
he's one of those. He's a disabled veteran too, and I help train his dog, his service dog. And so I always stop in when I see him there, and that's when we were talking about. He and I were talking about guns, and this guy and his wife came in. Turned out he knows James, and he's a police chief. It was just one of a small world, and so he's fixing to retire from the police department. He says the politics have gotten too much. He says it's just
Yeah.
gotten too crazy for him to be involved anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's happening. That's how they're getting rid of a lot of our good police officers. And that's the problem with these police departments is they're hiring in these young kids that don't have the real training. They haven't vetted them properly. They don't have a good training program for them. And they're going out shooting people because they're scared, or they're ill trained, or they've got the wrong temperament for it. And that's what's
Yep.
causing a lot of these problems.
I want to say hello to Alex Mark Aerial Videos. He's from Greece. We know him
Oh,
as DJ.
okay.
Welcome to the show, my friend. Okay, let's move right along. Let's talk about the town hall, the dueling town halls. And instead of a debate, we had two town halls. One was on ABC and the other was on NBC. We'll talk about how different they were. So I'll let you take Joe Biden and I'll do Donald Trump.
Okay. Well, from what I've heard and what I've seen is Joe Biden, I think he basically I think they served cotton candy and balloons and he rode in on a unicorn,
Yeah.
and I think the person answering the questions was the Lucky Charms leprechaun.
Oh, you
That's pretty.
mean George Snuffleupagus?
Yeah, that's him. Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he sniffed a lot of something. He snorted a lot of coke probably. But anyways, yeah. It was nothing. It was like a rerun of the Powder Puff Girls.
So, yeah. So you're saying that a lot of the questions were softballs, so to speak.
No, they were worse than softballs. They were more like gummy bears.
Oh, okay.
They just bounced. Like there was nothing. There was no substance to them. They might as well have been throwing balloons at him because that's about how hard the questions were.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, weren't a couple of the questions were from people that were either speech writers for Obama, and one was involved in politics in where was it, Pennsylvania?
Yeah. I mean,
talk
I
about
don't know.
assaulting the audience with.
Yeah, and I don't know what town hall they were speaking from, but it certainly wasn't from a town hall that I know.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as if they'd have had a town hall here in Oklahoma, it'd have been different. I guarantee you. But yeah, it was just. I really expected them to break out and start singing "Kumbaya" and roasting s'mores.
And here's the interesting thing: they had the people in town hall on the Biden side. It was more like an amphitheater where people were up higher than Joe Biden was. So you see Joe Biden looking up like he was looking at the sky or something. There was this
It- well,
disembodied voice asking him questions.
well, yeah, it was sort of like he was in the middle of a cathedral and he was looking, like he was Moses waiting for the 10 Commandments to come down to him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was a joke. And I didn't spend much time on it because it just wasn't worth my effort.
Yeah.
So, how about the way Trump was treated? You tell us what's your take on that?
It turned out it was more of a debate with the moderator than with questions from the audience. I mean, out of 40 questions, most of them were from Savannah Guthrie, and
Right.
the types of questions were more like gotcha questions, like, and predictably, she had to bring up white supremacy. And it's like,
Right.
how
Yeah.
many god darn times do you have to say it over and over? I, disavow white supremacy. And that's what he said. And he said, and they were able to get under his skin and get him to, get a little annoyed with the question that he has answered months ago.
Well, they're wanting to pin down they're wanting to pin him down to one particular group or another, and because I mean it's real simple. Yeah, and this goes back to their whole thought of separation. They want to separate certain things, just like they want, believe it or not, the Democrats really want a type of segregation. That's why black lives matter, but the rest of us don't. And that's why certain groups are white supremacists, or
Right.
you're, because you didn't say this group,
Mm-hmm.
that means you're a white supremacist. There again, separating Trump and his beliefs from the rest of the country. And those of us who follow Trump, well, we're obviously all uh, racist and stuff like that. And that's what they're doing. They're creating the Democrats are doing what they did 50, 60 years ago. They're creating a new segregation.
Yep, that's right. And also, they brought up the QAnon question. And Trump doesn't know anything about QAnon, and they're trying to pin it down on him.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Look, I've said it over and over. I don't know what QAnon is.
Yeah.
And if for those of you out there that don't know what QAnon is there a right wing conspiracy blog that basically it comes down to a pedophile out of a pizza joint somewhere, I think, in Washington, D.C., and they've got some really wild, crazy ideas. And so now that's the tactic that Democrats are using against Republicans, because they're doing this to Lauren Boebert, who's running in CD3 here in Colorado, trying to associate her with QAnon, and she disavowed QAnon a long time ago. And it wasn't until I think early on in the campaign she didn't know what QAnon was, and she said that she would look into it. Well, one of the local talk show hosts, Ross Kaminsky,
right,
over at KHOW Radio, got a hold of her and said, listen, you need to distance yourself from QAnon. You don't want to be anywhere near associated with this group. They're a whacked out conspiracy group, and so stay away from that blog there. So
right.
And now they're trying to do the same thing with Donald Trump. Donald Trump has no idea what QAnon is. So what are they trying to say? Are they trying to say he's lying about it?
Well,
it doesn't have anything to do with his policies or what he's done in the last 4 years.
Well, and that's it. That's what the Democrats, they have nothing. So they have to use sleight of hand. They have to use, oh, look here. See? Oops. It's actually over in this hand, but you didn't see this because this hand's off camera. And that's actually how Biden works. They have somebody with a hand up there. I think, well, no, because I'm not going to say Jeff Dunham runs him because Jeff Dunham's smarter than that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he's okay. If you look, his lips and his sound doesn't always work together. So, you know, plus the other thing is Biden has an earpiece that's given the answers. So that helps out too, and, it's, let's see, y'all had, what
I mean, man?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's nothing worse than an old fart trying to be cool, and it's just like, and plus you know what I mean, man, that's from back in the 70s and if some old fart had said that back then, we'd have thought, oh, he's one of those guys, don't get cornered in the wood shop with that guy.
Yeah, that's right.
We had a couple of teachers like that, you didn't, you didn't want to get stuck in the paint room with that guy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm an old fart, but I don't try. I own writing. I own my old fartness full thing. I'm proud to be an old fart, I don't wear my hat like this, or
Rick
like
is
this.
getting out of the hospital now. Oh, that's good.
All right. Excellent. I'm glad to see he's
Mm-hmm.
getting out of the hospital because he's got to be getting tired.
So basically, the Trump town hall was more of Trump debating Susanna Guthrie rather than taking questions from the crowd. Where Donald Trump has done more for the people of the United States in 3.5 years than Biden's done in the last 47 years. He's been a public service. And this is what I think is going to happen. I think there's a lot of Democrat business owners that have either lost their business or has had their business really damaged by the closings. And I think this cycle, you're going to see a lot of state legislatures and governors get replaced with Republicans. And I think it's going to trickle on down. I think they're going to vote for Donald Trump this time around because they're not going to put up with this garbage.
Well, and there's a lot of, you watch YouTube, there's a lot of minority that are, they're walking away. They're walking away from the Democratic Party.
Walk away movement.
I just hope that the Republican Party can get their act together enough or keep it together enough to keep them from walking back.
Right, that's true.
Because that's where we always lose. We get these, this massive support every so often, and then we let it,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at the
we don't communicate well with
right.
those people. They just say, "All right, now that we got you, keep talking to those people and keep telling them, hey, this is what we believe in. This is what the Democrats believe in. You don't want to go back to that." So
right, and we don't. Yeah. And I've said this before, this is kind of with our guest last week. Was it last week? Former congressman. Was that
Oh,
week
that was a
before?
couple weeks ago when we had
Okay. Yeah,
Thaddeus.
the problem is the Democrats played down and dirty, and we still do the turn the other cheek. Well, I don't mean we have to do something against
Dastardly.
our moral values, but on the other hand, and this is what I was trying to point out to him is, well, Jesus went into the temple and threw out the money lenders. And it's
Yep.
time for us to do the
Yeah,
same thing.
knocking
We
tables
can't.
over.
Yeah, he
Yep.
got angry. He got mad, and we've got to get mad too, or we're not going. And then once we have cleared out the rabble, we need to these new people that are coming in. There's one guy, the
Right.
Renaissance Man on YouTube. Uh, he he does a lot of video reaction, or music reaction videos. But he does a lot of other stuff. He's a comedian. He's a minister. And he's black, uh, and he's had people unsubscribing because he's supporting Trump. But he is a very articulate man of why he's
Right.
doing it. He's and like Black Conservative Patriot. That's another one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think who. There's several of them out there that they've got some good points of why they're voting the way they are and why they are conservatives. We need to take that as a party, at least in the Republicans or in the conservative movement. We need to listen to what they're saying to us, why they chose to walk away from as several of them have called them, the plantation owners, and move towards a conservative value.
Well, I like what Mason says. Dems don't like to play well with others because they think all the toys are theirs. That is true. That is true. And also this election cycle, there's a record amount of Republican women running for Congress this year. So hopefully those gals will get in and really make a difference in this seat. Now on the Senate side, let's talk about the Senate side where I think what's going to happen is I think we'll keep the Senate. I think we're going to lose a few seats, but I think we'll still have maybe a 2 to 3 seat lead. I think we're going to pick up Alabama because the Democrat that ran against an awful Republican, Judge Moore.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And so I think that guy is going to get defeated, and we may pick up that seat. Now here in Colorado, a lot of polls are showing John Hickenlooper's way ahead of the incumbent Cory Gardner, but I think the race is tightening up. I think Cory will win. I think he'll squeak by on this one.
From what I'm seeing, and this is from the outside looking in, that's what I'm seeing too. Some of the places I've been hearing a lot that they think that Gardner's going to he's going to squeak by. He's going to have to work hard to keep it next time around if he runs another term. But
here's the thing that bugs me about Cory Gardner is when John Hickenlooper was running for president, he kept saying, I don't have the temperament and I don't have the skill set to be a senator. And why Cory Gardner is not playing ads, saying this.
Well, it goes back to what I say.
But he ought to be playing those a lot, saying this guy does not want to be senator. Why vote for this guy? And he's been cleaning his clock in the debates.
Yeah. And that's, this is the problem. We don't use those things. Hey, we don't have to have we don't have to have the candidate run those ads. We could have, their campaign doesn't have to. We've got other
Yep.
You've got other advertising sources that can step in there, Republican National Committee or the Republican State Committee, Colorado State Republicans or whatever. They could start running these ads on behalf. It's real simple. Just get the ads out there. And that's the problem.
Yeah, that's true. And I wish these campaign committees, the small committee groups, they ought to be running ads. They did at the beginning, and now most of the ads, most of the ads you saw up until last week were how corrupt John Hickenlooper was. He took taxpayers' money to defend himself from ethics violations, which he was found guilty of, accepting gifts while he was governor of Colorado. And they've been running those ads like crazy. Now, Corey Gardner, he's running more ads about, okay, this is what I've done while I was in the Senate. He's done a lot more for Colorado than Hickenloopers. All you have, here's an ad for, if you want an anti-Hickenlooper ad, just show pictures of the homeless people out in front of the Capitol and tell them, hey, this is John Hickenlooper's Road Home initiative that he started while he was mayor of Denver, and he kept going while he was governor of Colorado. Yeah. Denver is falling apart because of John Hickenlooper. That's all they have to do is run ads like that.
We had some state, I don't know if she was running for the state Senate or the state house, or if she was running for the U.S. Senate or the U.S. House as a Democrat. And I've been getting these big placards in the mail, a real flashy looking thing. And they don't fit well in a trash sack, but you have to fold them up. They don't fold well, but this one, as soon as I pulled it out of the mailbox, I looked at it. I didn't even bring it into the house. I folded it up and walked right over to my trash can, because right next to the person who was running was Elizabeth Warren.
Oh boy.
She was supporting this person. I thought, are you kidding me? This will not enter my house. And it didn't. It went right over to the trash. I almost felt bad for the trash men having to empty it because that kind of, that's almost, it wasn't even, it was worse than porn. It was like, it just,
Well, except for porn, you probably would, fold it up, put it under my arm. And
I'd have taken it in the house. It'd be sitting down here in my bottom drawer of my desk. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's not looking.
No, this was like, almost felt like I'd been violated just having a picture of Elizabeth Warren in my mailbox. It's like, oh my God. And I thought, boy, she just lost, especially here in Oklahoma, because, it was supposed to be for, I don't know, it might've been for the State Board of Education, because we got a big problem with education in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And, it was kind of funny. It was last year before the pandemic. So it had to have been last school year. The teachers went out on strike for 10 days. Now, it wasn't an official strike because the union didn't support it. They didn't go out, but all the teachers did a walkout. They got nothing for it. They didn't get a pay raise. They didn't get anything. And they had to work extra to make up, and the only people that it hurt were the kids and the parents that had to suddenly find, extra daycare for their kids, and, of course, now a lot of the schools are doing virtual, and apparently your kid can be suspended for whatever your house decor is while the teacher's looking. Oh, what is that over there?
We can't have that.
That's a bunch of crap. It's inside my house. You don't have authority to judge me on what's in my house, and you can't suspend. That's such a violation. I think it should be taken to court because.
Well, that's where the kids need a green screen.
Well, yeah, but not every
That's
family
just
can
that,
afford a
well,
green
don't
screen.
have the American flag. That
Yeah,
might
you can't have the
be
American
this.
flag, but I bet you could put up a BLM flag and there wouldn't be a problem with it,
Yeah, that's true.
which
All
is
right, let's
just,
go right into our last topic, which I like to call Macbookgate.
yeah,
For those of you who don't know what that is, that was Hunter Biden's laptop that he abandoned at a computer repair shop in Delaware. Well, it had been in the shop for over a year, so uh, there are laws on the books that if an item is still in the shop over a certain time period, it becomes property of that business.
yeah,
So the guy looked at it and he found some emails and some photographs that alarmed him. So he made a copy of the hard drive and then he turned the notebook over to the FBI. Well, the FBI sat on it and they could have used it during the impeachment investigation. This would
right,
have totally exonerated Donald Trump, but they sat on it. So what
yeah,
they found out is a lot of incriminating stuff where Hunter Biden was using his father's influence to get him that job at Burisma,
right,
which was a Ukrainian energy company, which uh, Hunter Biden had no previous experience working for an energy company.
right,
So he I mean, the only reason they hired him is because, well, he's, the son of a sitting vice president. And it also shows that it was uh, Joe Biden who threatened the prosecutor, who got the prosecutor fired that was
yeah,
investigating Burisma for bribery and other unlawful acts.
right. Everything that they've been saying was true, and here's the thing is if, you said they sat on it, well, they were trying to get that stuff brought up a long time ago, and they wouldn't have, even had the hints to it. Somebody knew about it, and some of it was being leaked, but it wasn't being done properly. I think because this has been something that's been brought about, well, clear back to, like you said, the impeachment hearings,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what the Trump people kept saying, was that what about Hunter Biden?
Mm-hmm.
They kept saying, here, don't look behind the curtain, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what happens when you've had 40 plus years to put in these career uh,
Politics.
agents,
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
career bureaucrats
Bureaucrats,
that,
bureaucrats.
excuse me, that run the FBI. They're not the field agent, the guys that have to deal with, but the uh
That's right. What Mason says. Yeah.
what's that? There's stuff involving China too. Yeah, there
Yep.
is. I was going to bring. Yeah, there's some
Yep.
connections to the Chinese government through all this, and I've been seeing a little, but it wasn't. As long as you had Comey in place in the beginning, and
Mm-hmm.
then you had the. Uh, I talked about him before the show.
Oh, Brennan.
Well, Brennan, yeah, Comey. You had the guy that did the investigation, the special
Oh,
counsel.
okay. Comey.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, not Comey. The
did you?
special counsel for
Oh,
the
right.
Mueller.
Mueller. Yeah.
Yeah, Mueller. Yeah, you had all those guys
Mueller.
in place, and
Mueller.
yeah,
Mueller.
uh, Mueller. I put the L in there. Yeah. Anyways,
Well, it sounds kind of like Bueller.
Oh yeah, yeah. Call him Ferris for short. Yeah. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, what's interesting about this? This was done legally, where Donald Trump's taxes, though that's illegal. How they got that information about Donald Trump's taxes? The only way they could have gotten that information is if someone stole that information from his tax accountants,
yeah.
someone from
Or his
his
tax
tax
accountant
firm.
released it to somebody.
Yeah. And that's a violation right there. That's
Yeah.
against the law. Or someone in the IRS leaked that. And that's
Well, and
another violation. All
that's
that
in that.
stuff is totally illegal.
Yeah, and that's in all probability exactly where it was. Because remember when the IRS was going after conservative groups, the IRS is just. Excuse me. The IRS is still an extension of the
Law
Democrats. There's
Yeah,
they're
it was Obama who weaponized the
the
IRS to go
IRS
after.
against conservatives. Yeah.
Yeah, mainly the oh God, what's that name of the group that sprung up, that the grassroots movement,
Yeah,
the
the Tea Party.
Tea Party
Yeah.
groups. That's right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, and so this has all been in place, and everybody's complained. A lot of people have complained that Trump didn't drain the swamp. Man, every time he pulls the plug to drain the swamp, it's like if you have a lot of sludge in your sink, you've washed a lot of greasy dishes and stuff. You pull the plug, and then pretty soon it stops up. You got to pour some more Drano down there, and
gotta get the snake.
Yeah, you got to get out the snake, and we actually need to win the White House now. And this year, we need to win it in 4 years, and we need to win it in 8 years. We need to keep it going for a total of 16 years. Just and we need to have control of the, at least if nothing else, a minor majority.
You need to control the Senate, the House, and well, now we've got the Supreme Court. So we need to hold on to that, and then that way we get, put in place measures that will prevent Democrats from ever trying to circumvent law enforcement. Our civil rights, like the First Amendment, Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment. Those are the top three that are very important.
Yeah. And I don't know if we can do it, but because I look at some of these young people now, there's a lot of young people out there that, not all of them, but there's a lot of them that are conservatives. But then you've got some that just don't understand. They think that stuff we're talking about, well, that was back in the old days. No, it's still going on today, folks. It really is. But,
that's true. That's true.
Yeah, I think that's the reason all these emails weren't brought out. I mean, there was hints to this. I mean, they've been talking about this stuff for 4 years, but nobody seemed to have the proof. They just, like they say, where there's smoke, there's fire, and it was bound to come out, and finally it did. But the reason it was suppressed was because initially, I think, was because it was against the narrative that the FBI hierarchy was, or the Justice Department hierarchy at the time. Jeff Sessions, I liked him, but he was a lousy attorney general. He might have made a good, maybe a appellate court justice or something like that, but I don't think he would have. He just wasn't right for running the Justice Department. He just didn't have it.
Yep. Oh, Mason makes a good point. They were attacking Trump before he was elected, and they.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, Yeah,
And
there's been
they're
all
not
this.
only going after Trump, they're going after his family too. They're
Oh
going
yeah,
after Don Jr., Eric Trump, Tiffany. They're going after her.
yeah,
Uh, it,
yeah. It's
it's just a non. And this Donald Trump didn't have to run for president.
no, he didn't. He
Leading the life of Ryan, he had it all. He,
yeah,
but he loves this country, and he wanted to. And he didn't like the direction it was going in,
right.
so that's why he ran for president. You know,
Yeah,
and,
exactly, exactly.
and he
And
probably already knew what was coming his way as soon as he was coming down the escalator when he made
yeah,
his
I re- I
announcement.
remember before he ever announced or anything, and I remember listening to him. He'd come on Sean Hannity's show, and I'm thinking Donald Trump is on Hannity. Why is he? What's he? But I'd listen to him, and I think, now that this is the last guy I expected to be political or have any, or I expected him to be a Democrat at least.
Yep.
And then the more I listened to him, and Sean Hannity kept saying, "When are you going to run for president?" He says, "Oh, I don't know if I will." Just, "You'll know. I'll let you know when the time's right.
Right.
If I
Mhm.
decide." And this was before. This was like in 2014. He would come on as a call-in guest
Right.
for Sean Hannity. And the more I listened to him, of course, as my son always said, we needed a real businessman to run this country like a
That's
business.
right.
And you know, you don't have to like Donald Trump personally,
Mhm.
but you know, because he's a loudmouth, okay? But he's, at least he says what he thinks. You know where you stand with him because he tells you, you know.
Mhm.
And but he's a businessman, and he's he's known for, since I know, at least 2014, 2015, that probably 2014 is when I first heard him on there. He's known where he was going and and he kept saying, if I don't see anybody in there that does what needs to be done, he says, then I may step up and do something.
Mhm.
And of course, there became a running joke. Yeah, Donald Trump's running for president. Oh, wait, he never said he was? Okay, sorry. And, they made a running joke of it. They weren't laughing so hard 4 years ago in November. You know,
Yep. That's right.
there's a lot of crying at that joke, you know.
All right. Well, hey, we've done a little over an hour, and we've got a great show for you next week. We've got a talk show host from KNUS here in Denver, Jimmy Sengenberger. Uh, he's done radio for 10 years now, starting back when he was in high school at Regis High School and throughout college at Regis University. And now he's with KNUS, and he's really doing a great job on there. And I'm excited to have him on our next show just before the election, and we'll talk more about national politics, and we'll talk about what's going on here in Colorado, and maybe uh, other things going on around the country. So, thank you, folks, for joining us in the chat or watching this show. Catch you next week. God bless and have a great Sunday. Bye bye.